Hello, Wonderhussy here. And by here, I mean an extremely desolate part of the state of Utah. That's right, I'm still in Utah, poking around the, I guess you could call it the northwestern corner of the state, which is very sparsely populated and just full of, well, nothing and everything. I mean, for a place as, well, you could say bleak and, well, you could say vast and, well, you could say desolate as this, I've been finding a lot of really interesting things to poke around, and so I'm really enjoying my time in this part of the country. And today, well, today's kind of a milestone for me. I think I'm at a hot spring, and this hot spring here will be a notable first for me in a couple of ways. Well, it'll be the first Utah hot spring that I've ever made a video about. Secondly, well, if all goes well, this is going to be the very first time I ever skinny dipped in Utah. And Utah is a very culturally conservative state. I mean, most people know the Mormons run Utah, and they're fine people. I have lots of friends who are Mormon and lots of viewers too, so I give them a lot of respect, but they are very culturally conservative, and while I'm sure they wouldn't take kindly to some hussy taking a naked dip in one of their hot springs. But that's just what I'm gonna do if I can find the hot spring. Okay, so to put things in context, we are out at the fringes of a sort of boggy, salty marsh. You can see those kind of really scrubby, pokey grasses that grow at these kind of, I don't know if it's like alkaline desert areas. You can maybe even kind of see that the ground is sparkling a little bit. This is a really slippery, slick, kind of clay-like mud with a white crusty coating, which also unfortunately got all up in my freshly washed wheel wells and all over my tires. I literally just washed my car before I headed out here because I was at the Bonneville Salt Flats and I wanted to make sure I got all the salt out of my wheel wells and undercarriage because we all know, salt can cause corrosion. I spent $6 at the self car wash in Wendover, Utah. But anyway, you might be able to hear that plane flying overhead. That's because, well, just over yonder is, I think it's called the Wendover Air Force Test and Training Range or something like that. Sorry, I don't remember the exact title, but essentially it's a big Air Force bombing range, I think. And it covers a vast chunk of the northwest Utah desert. And I think you can even see the sign saying, don't go any further. Because this hot spring is literally right on the edge. Like, this marsh is I think it's a fish and wildlife refuge. And then, well, you can probably see those little white signs off in the distance. I'll zoom in. All those little white signs, I think, mark the boundary, and you're not allowed to go any farther than that. And, whoa, this mud is so slippery. I gotta be careful. Yikes. Oh my God, look. It's just like slip sliding every which way. Oh my God, my flip-flops are gonna be a mess. I gotta be careful too, because these are kind of an old pair of flip-flops and the thong is starting to get kind of busted. I'm likely to blow a thong out here in the Utah desert. I feel like there's a song in that somehow. Oh, maybe it's just another way I can freak out the culturally conservative Utahns. Blowing a thong out. Anyway, I found this hot spring in my hot spring guidebook that I use, and the link is in my Amazon storefront if you're curious. I use these hot spring guidebooks to find hot springs wherever I'm traveling. And this one was listed in it, but to be honest, I don't really see where there's any place you could soak. I mean, there's this big pond up ahead that I certainly wouldn't want to get in. And if you look at it, there are some, looks like old pallets in it that used to maybe sort of be a pier. Oh gosh. I'm going to try to walk out as far as I can. Oh, this looks like it's going to be, oh my gosh, look at spongy. Walk out a little bit further. Okay, so there's a little pool out there, but to get to it, you have to navigate this crazy obstacle course. Oh my goodness. Well, you know me, I ain't scared. That being said, I want to measure the temperature of the water first to make sure it's not boiling, because I don't want to fall into boiling water. I can't imagine that it's boiling because there's no steam coming off of it. And even though it is a hot day, it's like 95 degrees, I think. I still feel like there'd be steam rising off of this if it was boiling. But can never be too safe. Before we take the temperature though, look at this, zoom in, crusted up salt and minerals. I guess that's what that is. Oh, it's real crusty on the outside, but soft brown mud underneath. Almost like powdered sugar covered chocolate pudding. Oh man, I'm a tactile person. Oh my goodness, look at this. I don't know if you can see what that's doing. Speaking of pudding. Blech. Ah, look what color it is underneath. You know what that is? That's like that awesome clay you can put on your face. You know what I mean? Like I did a mud bath at this one hot spring I went to in Ruby Valley, and then you can do those mud packs at the Tacopa mud spring. Kind of like that. Anyway, the good news is the water was cold. I just rinsed my finger off in here, so we don't have to worry about getting scalded, I guess. But that being said, I'm going to use my thermometer just because I have it with me. Sorry it's so windy, but hopefully it's not affecting the audio too much. There's nothing I can do about it. Look at that. That's like some soggy grasses or something. It almost looks like a wet shag carpet. Oh, look, this is interesting too. I don't know if you can see, but there's these little birds running around over there. I guess they eat some kind of little flies or bugs that live in the hot spring. They're kind of just hanging around the edge there in the grasses. It almost looks like it's walking on the water because I guess the water is so shallow. Okay, let's let's step out on this board. Yikes. Wow, this is definitely the most interesting walkway I've ever been on to a hot spring. Oh my god, look at how crusted up this old pallet got with minerals. No telling how long it's been here. 74 degrees. Ooh, that sounds pretty nice. Wow, just look at all these minerals. Oh my goodness, all the colors. Wowzeroo. This is really intense. And what's really intense is there's an old bus. I don't know if you can see. I'll zoom in again. An old metal school bus sunk in the marsh out there. It's like some hippies came out here to camp and drove a little bit too close to the hot spring. Whoopsie. And I don't think there's any tow company on the face of this earth that would go out to get that bus. Not even that. There's that famous YouTube channel where the guys go do extractions. I bet even they couldn't get this bus out of here. I feel like I'm in some weird video game or going down to some weird level of hell in Lord of the Rings. If I make it across the river Styx, I can save the princess. Something like that. Golly, this is a crazy journey to this little soaking hole. And I'm not even sure I want to get in it. Well, came all this way. These flip-flops have served me well. They've seen a lot of action. If they bust out here, well, they died out doing what they loved. Okay. Oh my god, we're almost there. Ooh, the water is warm here. I can feel it. It must be coming out of... Oh, look how beautiful this hot spring pool is, though. Ooh, ow, ooh, boiling. Ow, ooh, too hot. Ooh, ooh. Oh gosh, like some hot water came, I guess, flowing out of there onto those boards and really burned my toes. I better bust out the thermometer again. 121! Yikes! No wonder! Dang it! I'll never be able to soak in that! Oh man, I came all the way out here and... well, you know, maybe I'll go back and read in the hot spring guidebook. There might have been some weird directions in there, like... Well, there's no... I was gonna say maybe you have to divert a pipe or something, but there is nothing to divert. Maybe this place just got hotter over the years than it used to be. But on the plus side, look at that badass view of my rig with those mountains in the background. Beautiful landscape out here. Beautiful pool, too. You can see those little bubbles coming up out of the bottom. Uh-oh. There's also those little biting flies here. I was just at a hot spring where I was bedeviled by those things, and they are no fun at all. Okay, let me go back to the car carefully. Yikes. Well, now that I know the water's boiling. It's only boiling in there, though. Like, these shallows are cool. I mean, I assume the shallows get warmer the closer they get to that pit of doom in the middle. Beautiful pit of doom, but... Oh, look. Speaking of doom, isn't this a beetle that got boiled alive? Or crusted up in... Yeah, some kind of gross beetle, or... It's not a cockroach. Some kind of poor beetle got... I don't know if he got boiled alive or just buried in muck, but he's dead now. Gosh, but look how interesting the textures and colors are on all this. Oh my god, look at this. It's a skin, like skin on hot cocoa. Whoa. And it's hot. The water even here is pretty hot. Yeah, maybe that beetle did get boiled. Boiled beetles again! We just had that last week. Okay, I gotta figure out how to get back there without getting degloved. And I'm a long way from a hospital out here too, let me tell you. Sure would hate to have to drive myself to the nearest hospital with all my skin blistered and hanging off. Made it! I was gonna say terra firma, but it's pretty mucky and slippery here too. Man, it's just a shame that there's not some way, and I'm sure there is a way, to get that hot water mixed with some of this cooler water, and oh my god, this would be an absolutely beautiful place to soak. But let me just go double check with the old hot spring guidebook. Here's my hot spring book. You can see it's been well used. That's what the cover looked like before it fell off. Great resource. And here's where we are. Wilson Health Springs. And look at the picture. It looks like there used to be bathtubs here. It says, walk about 100 yards past the second abandoned bus to a slight reddish colored rise where the very first hot spring hole can be found. Proceed very carefully to the second hole, as the roads and paths are often a muddy quagmire during any season. Oh, dang. So maybe, well, when I first turned off onto the road to get here, there was kind of like an old rusted out ruin of something that I thought was the abandoned bus. But maybe that's the first bus and that's the second bus. And so we actually have to go all the way out to that bus to find the hot spring. It looks like, oh, now that I look at it, it does look like there's another road going out that way. So I'll bet you anything that's the way we got to go to the hot spring. Oh, wow, far out. Okay, well, before I hike over there, I'm going to do a couple of things. First, I'm going to show you in the Utah Atlas exactly how desolate this is. Okay, first of all, here's how desolate this is. We're on page 49, which has nothing in it. It's a totally blank square. There's no towns whatsoever. Okay, what did I say we were on? 49? Oh yeah, here we are. Fish Springs National Wildlife Refuge. Wilson Hot Spring. It's right there. And it's right on the border of this. Here it says it's called Dugway Proving Grounds. Part of the Utah Test and Training Range, Wendover Air Force Range, no public access. So that ought to put everything into perspective so that you realize and understand just how desolate we are when I say we're desolate. Anyway, let's go down this other road to this second abandoned bus and see what we find. Okay, so I just came to a fork in the road. That fork there will take me to the abandoned bus. But I thought, let me follow this fork too, because it goes to a bunch of little scraggly bushes and there might be a pool or something over here. Oh yeah, there is. There's water right behind it. Look. Wow, look at the textures on this. It's all wrinkly. I mean, it looks like it's a skin, like a mineral skin on top of the water that's all crinkled up. And then this stuff that I'm walking on, oh, sorry about my shadow, it's like crunchy Cocoa Puffs or something. Holy moly, I really want to see what this skin is all about. Oh, it's crunchy, but it is kind of leathery. Wow, what a surreal landscape. I mean, you can see how the pioneers that first came out here, you know, the first white people, probably thought like, oh God, what is this godforsaken hell? Why are you dragging me here, you know? Husband wanted to go to California and get rich. Wife had to pack up all the kids and household goods, and when she saw this, she was probably like, well, they didn't even have divorce back then. Okay, back to the intersection. This time we'll go this way towards the old half-sunken bus. Man, I'm very curious to see if there's going to be any soakable pools here. Okay, wow, we made it to the old half-sunken school bus. Look at this thing. Oh, it's not sunk, really. It's just missing the lower half. The front wheels are still, or the wheel wells are still attached, but dang, man, this bus has seen some action. Look here, people use this wheel well as a fire pit, it looks like. I guess it would work as a windbreak. I guess it's always real windy out here. I mean, we are on the edge of this vast friggin' plain, which, by the way, look at these signs. Warning, restricted area, keep out, authorized personnel only. And then up ahead, those say, danger, keep out, scalding water, unstable ground, keep out. Yeah, I'm gonna take those warning signs very seriously after how hot that other pool was. Anyway, I just wanted to look at this bus a little bit longer. I mean, there's nothing left on it to tell us where it's from or anything, but it looks like it was a city bus. And I would have thought it'd be much more rusted out than it is because of all the salt in the ground here, but bullet holes. Only in America, or maybe, you know, Kazakhstan or someplace like that. All right, well, I'm going to be very mindful of these warning signs, but I am, that being said, going to poke up around just a little bit more, because where were those bathtubs from that picture in that hot spring book? Oh gosh, look, I can go any farther even if I wanted to, because it says violators will be cited. And well, it would be plumb dumb of me to put a video on the internet showing me doing exactly what they say not to do. So I'm not going to go past the sign. Well, let's see, it's telling me to keep out of the fragile thermal area. Okay, I'll keep out of the fragile thermal area. I'm just going to use my camera to look around. I mean, I don't see any of those bathtubs from the book anyway, so I'm guessing that those have been taken out a long time ago. Wow, far out, man. I guess these are all sort of like hot channels, little hot seeps. This whole area here behind these signs, which I'm not going past the sign, just looking. Man, that's what all those signs are. That's funny because I thought they were all keep out bombing base signs, but no, they're just keep out don't get boiled signs. Okay, I was trying to clean off my shoe and I accidentally stepped into a soft patch. And well, now my foot's covered in muck, so I might as well show you. Look at this. Oh my God. It smells very sulfury. Might as well rinse off. Ah! My whole foot sunk down into the bottom of this pond. It's all mud underneath. Gosh dang it. I'm gonna have to go back to that first pond and clean off. Ugh. And that wasn't even on the other side of these signs. So the ground is treacherous enough over here without wading out there anyways, I guess. Although, to be honest, I bet I know where the hot springs are or used to be. I don't know if you can see. Let me zoom in. It's kind of like that reddish mound, and there's a sign right in front of it. I'll bet you anything that's a really nice hot spring. But like I said, the ground over on this side is treacherous enough without my trying to go all the way out there. I can't imagine what would happen. I'd probably be up to my neck in mud, and that would not be pleasant. You know, if it wasn't so windy, I'd launch my drone and fly it over there and see for myself if those bathtubs are there or not. But gosh, it's hard to say. I mean, these signs don't look old, so maybe those are kind of a new thing. Maybe you used to be able to come out here and soak, and well, maybe there were bathtubs here and the government took them out. All I can say is I guess I'm just gonna clean myself off and go back to my rig, and then, well, try to find a place to camp. You know, I was originally thinking I would just camp right out here, but I don't know. I mean, if there's no hot spring to soak in, and it's 95 degrees, and there's biting flies, well, it just seems like I might be able to find a more pleasant campsite. But what a shame, man. I wish I could have come here back in the day when it was still a place you could soak. I mean, just assuming that's what happened, the government shut it down, took out the tubs, and, well, you know, I really wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, because another hot spring that I really like, I just found out is in danger of, or maybe already in the process of, being completely permanently closed, and all because of an endangered species that's habitat is right around that hot spring. And well, you know, people come in the hot spring and supposedly poop and pee in the desert around it, which I believe. And then the dogs, people bring their dogs to the hot spring, let them run around off leash, and they chase these little, it's a vole that's being threatened. They chase these voles, and so I understand that little vole has a right to live, and yeah, it sucks I can't go to that hot spring anymore, but I do understand. And so I guess I understand what they're doing here, but it still doesn't make it very much fun. And it also, well, it also kind of makes me agree with those of you who say, like, things were better in the old days. You know, like, I always think about what life would be like if I lived in the 1970s. Or what if I lived in the late 50s, early 60s? I was a beatnik, okay? I was a Dharma bum. And I just rolled around places like this, and they were still wild and free and open. And, life would be amazing. But you know what? Life is still pretty darn amazing right now, today, in 2021. Closed hot springs or no.